What do you get when you mix the likes of Dynastic Hero with Cotton, Castlevania, Bonk, Lords of Thunder, Shockman, or was it Mega Man? You get the game FX Unit Yuki, the Henshin engine. Created by Sarupro, FX Unit Yuki began life as a webcomic and made its way all the way to the TurboGrafx and PC Engine through a successful Kickstarter, which started on September 7th, 2016. FX Unit Yuki is probably the best homebrew TurboGrafx game that I've ever played. As you can see by the video, this is an action platformer that pays homage to the PC Engine games of old. You play as a seemingly ordinary girl by the name of Yuki Shirakawa. Recently off the heels of a new job with Jaipang Electronics Company, as a game tester, Yuki accidentally comes across an unusual piece of equipment that transports her into the games in which she was playtesting. If you look closely at the artwork, you'll notice that Yuki's costume looks very similar to a PC Engine. While she is in these new worlds, she quickly finds that she is not alone and meets a character by the name of Jenny, her rival. As her rival, she looks very similar to the Mega Drive or Sega Genesis in the US. While moving in and out of these games, Jenny keeps popping up and trying to stop Yuki's mission of debugging and stopping the chairman of Yellow Bee Academy, Tetsuo Akagi. You start the game out on Stage 0. This is a tutorial level of sorts that gets you used to the game mechanics. Throughout the game, you'll also find hue cards laying around that will provide Yuki with new power-ups. After finding a new power-up, you'll have plenty of time in that stage to test out your new ability. While in Stage 0, you'll have infinite lives, so that you can learn the controlling and get used to the maneuvering through the game. Once you begin on Stage 1, you are no longer in the simulation and are limited to your lives and upgrades as you find them. From time to time, you'll get tips from those in the real world, such as Nobuyuki and Master N. These tips will give you little snippets of information on how to complete each one of the levels. Most of the levels in this game are straightforward. Each stage takes on the form of a different game. The most confusing of the stages can be found towards the end of the Badonk stage, which of course is based off Bonk's adventure. In this stage, there's an underwater labyrinth that took me some time to figure out how to traverse the course, but eventually I found an easy path that I was able to memorize to make the stage just fly by. Not all the stages in this game are based off of platformers. There are actually 2 levels that are based off of classic PC Engine shooters. There is also one boss that you fight on a platform stage, but you take the boss on as if it were a part of one of the shoot-'em-up games. Some of my favorite features of the game were being able to play different styles of PC Engine games, basically jumping from a Wonder Boy style of game to Lord of Thunder. This was just an ingenious idea. One of the most beautiful stages in the game was for the Castle Vampire Z stage, which of course is based off of Castlevania Rondo of Blood. The artwork is another huge plus to the game. It has a cutesy anime style that any anime fan will enjoy. You also can't get through a review of this game without mentioning the music. The composer Simon Johansson did an amazing job at recreating tunes that would have been similarly found in the original games for each one of the stages. My 2-year-old son came walking in as I was playing one of the stages and immediately began headbanging to it. If a 2-year-old gets it, I know you will. If you so choose, you can also go into the options menu and listen to the music, or of course you could purchase it from bandcamp.com. You'll find a link in the description. Now that I've explained the good of the game, now comes the more difficult part, the bad. Since this is a homebrew game and not made by what we may call professionals, though let me just say it was way better than this game, which was made by so-called professionals. There are a few quirks with the game that could have been worked out before releasing it, though I do know the team was up against some time constraints, and they wanted to make sure that they got the game out on time. Now, some of the gripes that I had with it on my first playthrough, they began to disappear as I started to learn the game. The main issue with this game really is its pretty much easy. I mean, outside of some of the basically unfair kills that happen, quite often there are enemies that will spawn as you are making a jump, and if you don't know that they are going to be there, you get knocked back into a pit. The bosses also seem overly difficult compared to the rest of the game, but once you've learned their patterns, they too are pretty simple to beat. The only boss that I really had trouble with is the final boss. You will also notice little graphical glitches throughout the game, some of which just pop up and then are gone. Others are much more noticeable, as they are sprites that just seem to disappear off the screen, usually platforms, and it just becomes quite annoying. I even had a few sound glitches that make a very loud screeching sound until the new audio or the new stage music begins. Sometimes there are even situations where the audio would just completely drop altogether. Luckily though, these audio issues really did not happen very often. Saru Pro is gearing up to release the game on multiple systems such as the Genesis and Dreamcast. It would be neat to see a character design to look like the Dreamcast to make a cameo in that version of the game. If you're interested in buying this game, it seems that all is not lost. They are taking reserves for a winter 2018 release. You can see the video description for that link as well. Now, overall, I feel that FX Unit Yuki is a game that any TurboGrafx or PC Engine collector would love to have in their collection. Despite some of the drawbacks to the programming, as I said before, this is the best homebrew game that I've ever played on the system. With an upcoming webcomic to continue the story, consider myself a fan of the series. I only hope that someday a sequel will make it to the TurboGrafx. Until next time, gamers, thanks for watching Popular Pixel.